Today, I want to talk about changing children's behaviors. And this is not about changing their behaviors because that doesn't work. Children are great by their very nature, and we have the privilege and responsibility of raising them. It can be challenging at times. Let's talk about it. Hello, I'm Cynthia Armstrong. I'm a general and special education teacher. I homeschooled my own children for 5 years, and I talk about those things that I have studied, that I have researched, that I've applied, and has helped me and my children and students. Now, one of the big things that we work with as parents is our children's behaviors. And sometimes that can be very physical behaviors, hitting or biting or spitting. And I'll use those as an example today, though what I am going to tell you can apply to children who may self-harm or who may just like shut down and not want to participate or talk. It can apply to all behaviors, but the examples I'm going to use today are those more extreme behaviors like hitting or biting. And so as we get into this, like I said, I'm going to talk about changing behaviors, but we are not able to change behaviors in a beneficial way by changing the behaviors. So for example, I hear a lot in schools, they use a lot of positive behavior intervention type things. And so what they do is, they'll give a child a card that has behaviors and they'll put X's on. And when they get so many X's, they get a treat or a prize. Or if it's at home, I see a lot of that too. Oh, you didn't hit your sibling or things like that. So then you get to choose the dessert or the movie, or you get this bribe. You get extra time on the video games, right? So we end up bribing our children to change their behaviors. And for some children, their behaviors will change, usually temporarily, because as they get older, they're going to want more. They're going to see what else they can get from us. If they're going to do something as an adult, these are, as they become a young adult, these are the people who, instead of like donating to whatever store that you guys have, Goodwill or Deseret Industries or any of the many others, these are the children, well, like, what's in it for me? And they'll get this attitude of doing as little as possible to get as much as possible. That what's in it for me? Oh, I can help this older teacher pull her wagon of materials into the classroom, but do I get a candy bar for that? Do I get a piece of candy for that? And so when we want to change behaviors, it's not going to be about bribing or punishing. Oh, you hit that child, you lose your recess, or you've got to go to bed early, or we give them a punishment, which is just the flip side of a reward, because a lack of reward is a punishment. Children don't always say, "Ooh, I earned more video game time." It's mom didn't give me that video game time, or they took that away from me. And so we kind of miss the point when it comes to changing behaviors. So here's the thing. I know I've been talking for a little bit, but I really wanted to dispel this reward or punishment kind of thing. But let's get into actually changing the behaviors. And for that example, we're going to use a school setting for this one. Okay, so a child, there's children, they're playing balls, and you'll often see children who are those, more sports oriented, team oriented, social oriented kiddos playing. And they will often not pass the ball as much, or participate, or have children who are less, um, have less of a physique, less of an ability, more social awkwardness. They'll often either not allow them to play or not pass them the ball or do things like that as often with them. And so a student who is that socially awkward or that less inclined person that still wants to play, they'll run in and they will grab the ball. And then it becomes this, I have the ball, it's my ball. Because if I give it back to you, it's, your guys aren't going to let me play. I don't get as often. And so they'll hold on to the ball. And in this case, that's what happened, right? And they're running around and the other children are chasing them. Give us back the ball. We're playing with the ball. And so we'll get this interaction like that going on. And if it's not resolved right away, other things are going on, we don't notice, whatever, that then it can become physical. In this case, a child chased down the one that was holding the ball and took it from him, and the child who had the ball ended up hitting the child that took the ball. And so and then that child, when they went in to see, the administrators at the school, end up losing a recess and some things like that, and then having, consequences, which ends up being kind of like a punishment because he lost a recess. So how can we change those behaviors? And again, it's not by changing the behaviors, it's by changing the framework that supports those behaviors. There's frameworks around all behaviors. And so if we're focused on the behavior, then we miss working on the framework. So that framework are those thoughts, those beliefs, those fears that support having that behavior. So if we change, the only way I'm going to get a ball is if I take it. Oh no, he took my ball. I need to, I have that fear now, and so I'm going to act out by hitting. So we've got to change the framework if we want the behavior itself to change. And taking away a recess and saying, oh, you just don't get to play tomorrow or for the week, doesn't change the framework. It can cause a child to become more fearful or more angry or more supportive in that framework that supports the behaviors. So it can change behaviors because they get something or fear of losing something, but it doesn't change the internal behavior. It doesn't raise our kids to their greatness. And so um, if this kind of thing happens, what would it be like if we go up to that child and that was hitting, and whether you hit or not, I still love you. What if we start there? And it doesn't mean they don't have consequences. Let's say they still lose that recess. Well, what if instead of losing that recess, we let them know how much we love them and that our desire is for them to be happy. And we know that if they're hitting people, then they're not happy. And so what we want to do is we want to practice, so let's say they do, lose that recess. What, instead of losing that recess, we give them that opportunity to observe, to learn, to practice being safe. And so while they're sitting out, maybe we're sitting where they're playing ball, and we can, um, you know, observe with them and notice, like, oh, when they throw the basketball, the person who gets the rebound gets it. And then they go and pass it to friends, or they dribble it and they're trying to put it back in the basket. And then in the rebound, um, you can get it again, and take a look at their faces. Are they having fun? Are they being serious? Are they working on a skill? What would that look like for you? What if we're changing that framework and we're helping them see how they could for themselves be able to get the ball, to see for themselves how it interacts with those? And then also that other child that took the ball from them, what if we're helping them see, well, how can we include this person um, in a way that works for everyone, right? What would it feel like if we never gave you a chance to develop a skill because we didn't pass you the ball? That wouldn't feel so good. And yes, I like being better at it than other people, um, but that doesn't lead to happiness either. And so when we kind of focus on that framework, their thoughts, their beliefs that support the behaviors, we're more likely to have those behaviors turn and change into a way that allows our children to rise to their greatness. So if you would like to learn more, I do have a link below for a free workshop that I do. And also you can like and subscribe and support us in that way. Remember, children are great by their very natures, and we have that privilege and that opportunity to raise them. Hi friends, Cynthia Armstrong here. Thanks for joining us today. Please make sure that you subscribe to our channel so you can see when new videos come out, and like this one. It is such a responsibility and a challenge to raise great kids, and we are here to help you along that journey to make it as enjoyable and fun and fulfilling as possible. Please check out our website, www.raisinggreatkids.net, and I will leave that in the description below.